Greetings, everybody, from scenic Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. It is a blockbuster of a matchup tonight in the USL Championship as the Charleston Battery take on Indy 11. It's presented by Diamonds Direct. Sean St. Jacques, Chris Nurse, our entire crew, happy to have you with us. And Chris, we look at the Eastern Conference table, and certainly the top four is going to be really tight down the stretch. We've got a really good battle tonight.
Yeah, obviously a very important game, probably a little bit more important for Indy 11 than it may be for Charleston. If you look at the disparity in teams from 8th right the way through to 4th, there's only a 5-point separation, so really important for Indy 11 to keep themselves in the top 4 to try and get that home game come the postseason.
The Battery have had some really good moments so far this season, and a big reason they've had so many is because of Nick Marcanic.
Yeah, he's been on tremendous form this season. He's been able to create goals for himself. He's been able to finish chances created by other players, creating 19 goals so far this season. I think he has to get to 25 to get the USL Championship record. Obviously, he's attracting attention from MLS, also from Europe. Very exciting season so far for Nick Marcanic. Interesting to see him to play tonight.
He's almost matched what the Golden Boot winner Albert Deke was scored in all of last season. Juan Torres has also come on really well as of late, scored last time out against the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Yeah, and I think this has been the part of the success for Charleston. It's not just been Marcanic alone. There's been Torres that's obviously contributed. You have Malloy who's contributed. They've been the engine room for the team, and they've been able to provide him with that service for him to get those goals. So I think it's been a good collaborative effort from Charleston all around.
On the other side of things for Indy 11, they've had some great runs throughout this season, 12 straight at one point in all competitions without defeat. But since they got through to the semis in the Open Cup, it's been a little bit of a downward slide.
Yeah, I think even when they were having their streak of good form, I think there was games where I wasn't that impressed, but they were finding a way to still win games even when they weren't performing at their best. I think with the injuries, they've been found out a little bit. They've got to get their players back fit and healthy, and they've got to find a way to start winning games again.
Certainly a player that can help turn things around for Sean McCauley's group is Aiden Stanley. 7 assists this season. That's the tops in the league.
Yeah, Aiden Stanley is one of my favorite fullbacks in the league. Not just his defending ability, but his ability to get into the final third, deliver crosses, set pieces, assists, as you mentioned. That's not easy for a fullback, given the amount of distance they have to cover throughout games. So, interested to see Aiden Stanley play tonight, one of my favorite players.
Only game of the night in the USL Championship, but it's one of the best we have in the league this weekend. The rematch between Charleston and Indy kicks off next.
Charleston is located in the low country of South Carolina.
The history here, it runs deep, and you can't imagine being anyplace else.
This place is magical.
It's for the way you look. Oh, it's for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore can love. Is all that I can give to you.
Sean St. Jacques, Chris Nurse back here with you, getting you set for a big one in the USL Championship tonight on CBS Sports Golazo Network. Charleston taking on Indy, and Chris, we begin by looking at the Michelob Ultra starting lineups. Devin Rensing is the acting head coach tonight. Here's the Battery side.
Yeah, and as much as we may discuss the players in the team that we discussed, Markanic, Toric, it's as much about the players or the personnel that are not in the roster tonight. You're missing Grimwis, you're missing Perman, you're missing Valoy, you're missing Kazemba. A number of key contributors are not going to be in the roster tonight, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this team gels, the cohesion, the ability to create goal-scoring opportunities for Markanic.
You talked about it. There's a lack of depth tonight for the Battery at goalkeeper. Christian Garner, who was just acquired yesterday on a short-term loan from top-placed Greenville Triumph in USL League One. Adam Grinwis is on a red card suspension. And on top of that, backup goalkeeper Daniel Kuzemka is injured. So Christian Gardner is going to get thrown right into the fire.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting. As much as we talk about Markanic scoring goals, the goalkeeper is the guy who stops you conceding those goals. And a good team is going to be successful in not conceding goals. And goalkeepers are a huge part of commanding that back four and that defensive line. So it's going to be interesting to see how Garner comes in on such short notice and is able to do that.
The Indy 11 under Sean McCauley. This is the side again that's also missing a couple of notables, including leading goal scorer Jack Blake.
Yeah, and it's always really interesting. They deviate their formation throughout the course of the game, or maybe they start. Sometimes it can be a 5-4-1. Tonight it's looking like it's going to be more like a 4-3-3. Going to be really interesting how they can build that consistency and start to find that way to win games once again.
Two former Charleston Battery players in that 11 as well. Romario Williams, who played for the Battery back in 2016 and 2017. And Augie Williams, of course, played for the Battery the last 2 seasons and won the Eastern Conference title with them. And you talked about this absentee as well. Aaron Malloy dealing with an injury, not available tonight. The release from the Battery says they're hoping he can get back before the end of the regular season. He leads the league in chances created. It's a massive miss for Charleston.
Yeah, I don't think he's just a massive miss for Charleston. I think he's a massive miss for the USL Championship. This is one of the best midfielders in the league. His ability to create chances, smart in possession, has a great engine. You know, I think he's probably in the same category as Richie Ryan when Richie Ryan was with Miami FC. Fantastic player. Hopefully we see him off crutches pretty soon and back on the field.
We talked about it. Devin Rensing's the acting coach tonight. Ben Pierman suspended for a red card he picked up in the loss to the Tampa Bay Rowdies. But Devin Rensing and Ben Pierman have been working with each other for quite a few years now. So Devin Rensing told us not much is going to change. They're going to play the same way. They just got to have guys step up.
Yeah, and obviously he has familiarity with the players. The players have familiarity with him. They have familiarity with his coaching style. Of course, Perman would have been the one who coached the team this week. The instructions, the style of play, the tactics will be very clear to the players. The one thing that may be different tonight is just having that intuition and ability to change things on the fly with the mind of Perman. While the acting coach is going to have the same ideas, maybe just doesn't have that same feeling in the flow of the game. So it's going to be interesting, some of those moments that require intuitive decision making.
Last time these two met, you have to go all the way back to April 13th. Charleston went to Indy and got an impressive 4-2 win. But as Devin Rensing talked to us about earlier in the week, very different Indy team at the time. Sean McCauley was still trying to get them going in the early parts of the season. Then they went on that 2-month run where they didn't lose a game. But the other wrinkle in this matchup as well is the last time Indy were here at Patriots Point, it was last season's playoffs, and Charleston came out as 5-0 winners. So Indy 11 will have that in the back of their minds as well.
Yeah, if there's one thing you can guarantee is no 2 games are going to be the same. But there's a lot of injuries, so last week's performance is not going to be the same as this week's performance for both of these teams, given the number of injuries they have and the injuries to key players. So it's going to be interesting to see how both these teams react to the change of personnel. It's obviously going to impact the way they have to play, the way they create chances, also the way that they defend, especially as we mentioned about Garner coming in goal out of the blue for this one-off game. So it's going to be interesting to see how both teams are able to adapt to some of the adversity and challenges that we're facing. It's funny that we say adversity and challenges to 2 teams that are currently in the top four in the league. Charleston, with a win today, would actually jump Louisville City and go into first place, despite Louisville City having a number of games in hand. However, we spoke about the importance for Indy 11 separating themselves from the other 4 teams below them to solidify their spot in 4th position so they can potentially get that home game come the playoff time.
2 of the top 4 in the East, and not just the East, in all of the USL Championship meeting tonight. And it is the Charleston Battery who will get this one started, and we are off and running in the Low Country. The Battery are in their black and yellows. Indy are in their road reds. And we are underway on the CBS Sports Golazo Network. Sean St. Jacques, Chris Nurse, our entire crew. Only game of the night, but it is a dandy of a matchup between two of the best this USL Championship season has to offer. We're of course going to be on Nick Marcanic watch as he's on 19 goals. And he's just 6 away from tying the all-time regular season record. There are 2 players that currently have the record. Cameron Lancaster, formerly of Louisville City, and Haji Berry, formerly of the Colorado Springs Switchbacks. But on top of that, we'll have to watch how the new players that are getting integrated into each lineup will perform in this one as well, with so much riding on the outcome.
I had to give myself a slap on the wrist just now. I actually found myself highlighting Indy 11 securing 4th place as being more important than Charleston Battery winning the game and getting into 1st place. I'm always somebody who probably values regular season champion more so than the team who wins the playoffs. But of course, the system values the playoffs a little bit more than the regular season champion. Probably should have highlighted the ability for Charleston to go into 1st place with a win tonight as being a little bit more important than Indy 11 securing 4th.
But to your point, that Indy 11 spot, as Sean McCauley gets some early messages out to his team, that is the last home playoff position. So that is not anything to gloss over. And like you said, it's getting tighter and tighter between 4th and 8th place. And Sean McCauley did admit that his team has at times gotten off to slower starts at home, and on the road is where they've been able to play faster, they've been able to get off to quicker starts. However, I think he would still take a home playoff game over a road playoff game, especially considering how it went for Indy here last season.
I agree, but I think that Louisville City and Charleston Battery, 1 point between the two at the top of the table. The team that finishes #1 in the regular season has to show consistency over the course of 9 months. In the playoffs, you can go on a little run, get into the playoffs and have a good 3 weeks, win the championship. But to be #1 over 9 months is probably the hardest thing to accomplish, because to do it week after week, game after game, month after month is not easy whatsoever. To kind of finish mid-table and then go on a good run at the end of the season, it's not easy, but it's a little easier than being #1. And I always like to give credit to that team that's able to be most consistent over the duration of the season.
It was Pittsburgh last season. They got knocked out in the 1st round. Phoenix, mid-table, they won the title. And from the corner, Charleston getting into the back of the net. But the referee, Joshua Encarnacion, waves it off. The goal is chalked out.
Looks like there might have been some pushing just before connected with the ball. Hard to see from this angle.
Looked like it was last off of Leland Archer, but he's also the one that looks to have committed the foul.
Yeah. Early in the game for Charleston to take the lead there would have been a rough night for Indy had they gone ahead so early. But again, a different goal contributor. It's not just Marcanic contributing to the goals. There's goals coming up left, right, and center from different players.
How important will it be for Indy 11, obviously, to create chances and find the finishing touch, which Sean McCauley talked to us a bit about? Again, it's 5 without a win in the league for Indy coming into the night, but also to test Christian Garner. He's got to be going through some kind of emotions, getting the call up here for this game. It all happened within about a 24 to 48 hour period. You're going to want to have him get tested.
Yeah, and of course, for goalkeepers, it's very much about managing your emotions. And I imagine Indy 11 want to be on the front foot and put him under pressure early in this game. He's not going to get a chemistry and comfort level with the players just in a couple of days or even 1 week of training. That takes time to build cohesion, trust, understanding. So if you're Indy 11, you be on the front foot, you try and get shots off, you try to pepper him as much as you can in the early stage of the game and put him under pressure and test him and see what he's really made of. And if you sense any cracks, you go even more. So far, the dominance in possession has been in favor of Charleston with that disallowed goal so far. But
could be an early test here for Gardner, and he is able to field it pretty cleanly as the shot came in from one of the former Battery players, Romario Williams, who came over in a trade earlier this season from Hartford Athletic.
I think you're being a little bit generous when you say that was a test there. Had Garner not dealt with that, I don't think they would have acquired him on loan. You'd expect Williams to put a little bit more venom into that strike and really put him under pressure and test him. It was a great opportunity. He had time and space to get a shot off. Just didn't quite connect with it as he quite would have liked.
Indy ended up sending Younes Boudadi back to Hartford. That aforementioned swap to get Romario Williams in an Indy shirt. Of course, had a great season a couple years ago with Colorado Springs switchbacks as a whistle will go here. That's a free kick. It'll allow the Battery to pick up where they left off here. The ball's played to Chris Allen. Another very important piece of the Battery midfield. Here's Arturo Rodriguez. Juan Torres. Cuts in field, then cuts to the byline. Torres across. It's still up for grabs. And the shot from Emilio Icaza. He's blocked. Indy comes out with it. Romario Williams trying to find Augie Williams. But it's going to be dealt with by the captain for Charleston, Leland Archer.
I think one of the impressive things in the way Charleston play and the success that Mark Hanich has had is that he's not an out-and-out striker. He's not just a number 9 who just hangs around centrally. He's coming in essentially as a wide player, similar to Torres, who gets his goals from the wide. And I think that's the evolution of forwards and goal scorers. If you think about the best in the world, a lot of them are getting their goals as wingers, and the number 9 now becomes more of a detractor who's able to attract the defensive players towards them and find the wingers in space. And I think that's also got to be recognised as one of Mark Hanich's strengths, is that he's not just been operating as an out-and-out striker. He's been coming in from wide areas for the 19 goals that he's had so far this year.
Dos Santos for Marcanic. And again, Dos Santos just tried to feed Marcanic in on the left-hand side of the penalty area. It goes out for a goal kick.
Yeah, he probably needs to keep his eyes on the ball and the play. If you see, he tried to do a no-look pass and ended up sending out a play for a goal kick. When they come off, of course, it's great. When they don't come off, you normally end up hearing the manager's voice very loud in your ears.
Look there at Sean McCauley. Always enjoyed catching up with him throughout the season, and just talked about how with Charleston's different challenges and things of that nature, just said we have to give them a better game than the first time. They've been consistent all year. It'll be a tough challenge, but he maintained confidence in the group. And of course, when you have a wonderful 2-month run to look back on as your high watermark of the season, Indy certainly have something to shoot for during this tougher stretch where they still picked up a couple of results but have dropped points in their last 5 games and have sort of fallen off the pace, at least for the Players' Shield.
Yeah, and it may sound a little bit harsh, a 12-game streak, the run that they won in Open Cup, to say that they weren't essentially playing well, but they were still finding a way to pick up results. All good teams have games when they're not playing well. And to be a good team, you still have to find a way to get three points on those days. And Indy 11 were able to do that for a long period of time. But I didn't really feel like they were dominating possession, creating chances, having players in 1v1 situations who were dominating their opponents. But as a collective unit, they were finding a way to win games. And I think it's caught up with them a little bit now, where they kind of maybe not need to reinvent themselves, but probably get a little bit more fine-tuned on where their strengths are, how they dominate their opponents, and obviously defensively, how they stop themselves conceding goals.
That was a chance for Romario Williams to lead the break for Indy. It was played in nicely by Douglas Martinez, but it doesn't quite come off, and the Battery can build towards another attacking sequence here. Icaza looking for Marcanic over the top. Adrian Diz-Pay is fouled, and it's an Indy free kick.
And I think one thing we also have to take into consideration with Indy 11, when you do have a deep cup run, as they did in the Open Cup, the level of fatigue that builds up in the players, obviously they're playing more games on a more consistent basis than teams who are just playing week to week in the league. So maybe those additional games have taken a load on some of their players who are starting a lot more minutes, and it's now impacting their league form.
To your point, Charleston's only loss at home this season was to an El Paso team in the middle of a run where they had a tough, heartbreaking Open Cup elimination here against Atlanta, the team that Indy beat to go to the semifinals. So Open Cup does impact the league table. There's no question about that.
Yeah, and you can see that the way the game is also evolving. There's more competition, more games, and it doesn't seem like it's going away anytime soon. So I think if you're going to be a top team, you have to have depth in your rosters. Otherwise, 1 or 2 injuries and you lose your opportunity for success. Because if you lose Marcanic, or you lose Malloy, or you lose Torres in this roster, it's a completely different team. It's not the attacking threat that it currently has. So I think organizations, head coaches need to take that in consideration when they really want to challenge for a championship. They need to have depth in their roster. Because I think I looked somewhere this week, top players in top leagues are playing sometimes as much as 75 games in a year. Now, if you do that 1 year, you wonder how many consistent years you can continue to do that for. But that's the level of demand being placed on the athlete.
Stanley, we know he can cross them. Tried to find the arriving Douglas Martinez. Just a whisker too firm of a cross, and a warning sign there for the Battery in transition.
Yeah, this is what Stanley does so well and why he has so many assists. This is such a dangerous ball across the box. It bounces at foot height directly across the goal face. All he's screaming for is a player to making a far post run to tap into the back of the net, centre forward to making a run straight down the middle. And Stanley's able to provide that service on a consistent basis. It's one of the balls that defenders hate to defend, and goalkeepers, it's in an area where they don't know whether to come or stay on their line. Just need somebody to read it, a little bit of anticipation, and arrive at the right time. But Stanley consistently is able to provide his teammates with that level of service.
There's Ben Ofemu, who came over from Miami FC, along with Ben Mines, in a trade earlier in the season, a trade that really helped to lift Indy after a slow start to the campaign that we mentioned earlier. But those two players have been cornerstones to Indy's success that has gotten them to this point in the season. Those two couldn't quite link up on the near side. It'll go back to Devin Rensing's group. It's a throw-in.
And it was interesting listening to Nick Marcanic talk about his relationship with Ben Perman and how he allows him to have the freedom, the creativity, the belief in himself that's allowing him to have the season that he has. Man management, as much as the talent that he has and the ability that he has, the man management is also a key part in the success of the individuals in the team, and it seems like Ben Perman has done a fantastic job with the collective group, but also having his best players and individuals in a mindset where they're able to perform to the best of their abilities.
Garner just about got that away from Romario Williams. Allen, chased by Martinez. There's Marcanic. Scored both goals, I should say, in a win over Miami FC the last time Charleston were here. Of course, the Battery had a 2-0 lead, could have had a 3-0 lead in St. Petersburg before the Rowdies rallied to win by 4-2 in the last match. Get a chance now to look at the injury report tonight. It's brought to you by MUSC Health Sports Medicine. We highlighted a few of these players already, but of course Aaron Malloy out for now indefinitely. Kuzemka out as well. Juan Sebastian Palma also out for the rest of the season, and we're told 4 to 5 weeks on Macca King. Nusa and Blake potentially on their way back. No Elliot Collier tonight either for Indy, as Marcanic leashes a shot. Comfortable save for Hunter Schultz in goal for Indy tonight.
I think it's also important to highlight that out of the 24 teams in the USL Championship, Charleston right now have scored 42 goals. Only second to Louisville so far this season, a goal differential of plus 22. This speaks about the form and the ability to create. We spoke about Malloy and the impact that he has on his team, and he's a big part of their ability to create goal-scoring opportunities, whether it's through his decision-making in possession, being able to switch the point of attack, his ability to be direct, his ability to play longer passes. His pass completion of some of his long balls is in the 90%, which is incredible at this level. So he's going to be a big loss for this team, and it's going to be interesting to see who steps up in his absence to be that player who controls the tempo of play, dictates the center of the park, and is not only able to keep them in possession when they're building out from the back, but also to have the eye and the vision to be able to play those creative passes going forward.
He's also their normal set-piece taker on top of all that, as this is a lightning quick strike. That flashes past the goal. Gardner was certainly interested in that. And it goes out of play, but it had plenty of venom behind it.
Yeah, great effort from distance there. You could see by the way Gardner reacted in goal, it wasn't that far away at all. Display, I think it was who released that venomous strike.
But the Battery looked to hit back at the other end. Torres the target. Good step in defensively. And Indy have a chance to play their way through. This is Ben Mines, and Mines is fouled by Rodriguez.
Yeah, you can see the game just opening up a little bit now. 15 minutes in, end to end. We have that strike from Display at one end, and you see Immediately, Charleston going on the attack at the other end.
Sent ahead by Cam Lindley, another former Colorado Springs Switchbacks player. Logan Neidlinger, one of the Academy products for Indy, also getting a start tonight. Another player to highlight to see how he gets acclimated in what's such a huge game for both teams. You talked about it, Chris. Charleston trying to keep pace with Louisville at the top of not just the East, but the entirety of the USL Championship, and Indy trying to make it more difficult for others to catch them in the final home playoff game slot, currently at least, in the East. As the playoff race just continues to heat up. We'll have plenty of games impacting that in both the East and the West tomorrow, of course.
All right, Sean, let me try my stats again here. So, you correct me if I'm wrong. So far this season, the team in the USL Championship conceding the least goals is Sacramento Republic, 15 goals. After them is Charleston and Tampa Bay Rowdies, both tied, conceding just 20 goals. So not our Charleston Battery, the second most goal-scoring team in the league.
Yeah.
They're also second for goals conceded. So we talk about Markanic's impact at one end of the field, but then we also have to talk about the defensive work on the other side of the field to be the second team out of 24 in conceding the least amount of goals. They have a very resilient defense and a goal scorer who's set to break the record. That in itself is a recipe for winning a championship. Well, at least competing for #1 in regular season. Winning a championship is a little bit of your form and a little bit of luck, keeping your best players healthy.
From the corner, Stanley, it could be an open opportunity, but closed down by Markanic.
But I just wanted to highlight the work that's being done at both ends of the field, because the game is won and lost in the boxes. But so far, Charleston doing a great job defensively this year.
Augie Williams looking for Romario Williams. Couldn't find him in the end. It was cut out. Markanic again having to help out defensively, and it's a challenge that comes in from Neidlinger, who fouls Mark Segbers. Augie Williams would love to make an impact in his return to the Low Country. It was a big part of Charleston's run to the final last season. Of course, Phoenix ended up coming back not just in normal time, but in the penalty kick shootout as well to lift the title here in Patriots Point. A couple of really strong seasons here. Augie Williams. A bit of miscommunication there between MD Myers and Arturo Rodriguez. Cleared away by Sol. Allen with time and space.
Charleston definitely probably been a little more aggressive on the ball than Indy 11 in its opening 20 minutes. They've had 65% possession in comparison to Indy 11's 35%. However, it's not been that.
Oh, it's good interplay here. Rodriguez. It fizzles out at the end, but Segbers recovers.
It's not been that much in terms of meaningful or hurtful possession. Both teams have only had 2 shots on goal, equating to 1 shot on target for each team. So despite Charleston Battery right now dominating possession with 65% in comparison to Indy 11's, it's not really penetrating or hurting Indy 11 right now.
Another look at the last sequence. Good interplay between Torres and Rodriguez.
Yeah, I paused here because I thought I put my foot in my mouth and was speaking a little bit too soon. But Rodriguez just unable to get onto that ball and get it under control to get a shot off.
Talked about how good the Charleston Battery have been as an attacking threat and also defensively. Well, Ben Pierman's talked about how balance has been such an important part of Charleston's success this season, and Devin Rensing sort of backed that up by talking about, well, listen, there's going to be Malloy out and we have to change the goalkeeper and things like that, but it's the system that leads to the success, not necessarily one player in particular, despite, of course, the fact that Nick Markanic's having the season that he's having. But like he said, like you said earlier, it takes the whole group, and the system is what's led to the success, not necessarily 1 or 2 individuals.
Yeah, and he also spoke a little bit about Torres and how he feels like he's a little bit underrated. He doesn't get the credit that he deserves. His ability to attract pressure and create space for Markanic. although he doesn't necessarily have the tally or the goal tally that he's had, he feels like he's part of the reason, attracting pressure, why Markanic finds himself in space to get the shots off. But he feels like Torres should have more goals and assists this year, so maybe end product is the final thing that he needs to get to his game to really take himself to the next level. You see an opportunity here.
I was going to say, case in point, he skies that effort over the top. He scored a wonder strike in St. Petersburg last time out. This one goes out of play.
Yeah, just leaning back there. That strike was always rising up. But you see his ability to get on the ball, his first touches, to find space, stay connected to the plate. Then he finds himself in time and space on the edge of the box. Just needed a little bit more accuracy in that strike.
The game here against Miami a couple weeks back hit the post, had a couple of close calls, and then finally got that goal that he had been searching for against the Rowdies. Could be a sign of more and more things to come as far as his performances and his output. As Segbers marauds down this far side. Augie Williams puts in the challenge. Segbers pirouettes around him and slides in Markanic. It's a really good challenge defensively by Josh O'Brien. Stanley up ahead. Tried to pick out the passer Martinez.
Both Stanley and Torres are both been very active for each of their teams. If there was a player that we highlighted early on that has maybe been a little bit quiet, it would be Markanic, but Torres has been trying to find those through balls. Stanley obviously had that dangerous delivery earlier, but strikers like Markanic, they're most dangerous when they're quiet. They'll pop up in a little bit of space or create an assist when you least expect it. And for the defenders, that's when they have to stay most switched on and concentrate, because the moment you take your eye off him or you take your concentration off of him, that's the moment when he pops up and punishes you.
Look back at the all-time series between these two. It's actually tied at the moment. 4 wins apiece. There's 2 draws in there as well. Both teams have also scored 20 goals against the other. That's about as tight as it gets in a head-to-head sequence. So this is a bit of the rubber game in the all-time series tonight. A little bit of extra incentive if the standings weren't already enough motivation. Rodriguez is stifled by Lindley. That's a free kick for Charleston. And the Battery take it quickly. Allen thought about marauding into the space. Has Segbers for company. Allen lofts it over to this near side where he finds Nathan Dos Santos. Torres goes back to work. Tried to find Dos Santos on the give and go. Battery will settle for a throw.
Torres just trying to feed that ball through Afemu's legs.
Allen for Segbers. Myers and Markanic queuing up. First time ball by Rodriguez. He's going to bend out of play. Battery matches are the perfect place to make lifelong memories with your friends and family. Groups of 10 or more can enjoy discounted tickets, exclusive on-field experiences, and private hospitality areas. To catch the match, visit charlestonbattery.com to learn more and plan a memorable night at beautiful Patriots Point. It's always one of the more scenic venues in the USL Championship as the sun is starting to set here in South Carolina.
Obviously, Indy 11 coming into this game winless in their last 5, and this is something they're going to want to improve fairly quickly. They've generally been better away from home than they have been at home this season, so it's going to be interesting if they can continue that form and potentially steal some points on the road tonight against Charleston.
The other part of that too, Chris, is Indy this season, 18 first half goals that they've scored. That's the 3rd most in the league. Feels like they need to get off to a good start. They haven't quite yet, but a couple half chances here and there. If they can get a first half goal, maybe that could set them on their way. At least the statistics would tell you that.
I mean, they don't have a Markanic with 19 goals this season.
A good point.
As good as their strikers have been with Williams, both the Williams, they don't have that one guy who's just foot's on fire. That their teammates know, find him, he's going to finish in the back of the net for you. Double figures, bordering 20 with still a ton of games left in the season. Makes a big difference.
And the player that's had their best vein of goal-scoring form. Jack Blake, of course, not available tonight, which also doesn't help.
And of course, your assists are coming from your fullback. You don't necessarily have that number 10 who's getting goals, but also providing those assists at the same time. Your top assist is coming from fullback. So there's a couple of things that they need to tweak to become a little bit more offensively efficient going into the last streak of the season.
Augie Williams in traffic. Ricochets out of play. Looks like it was last off of Martinez. We'll go back to the battery. Of course, we've been talking about how it's been difficult at times for Indy to manage both competitions, but can't take anything away from this Open Cup run that Indy are on. They're going to face Sporting KC of MLS in the semifinals. Another year where a USL Championship side has made a really impressive and deep run. Sac Republic, of course, got to the final a few years ago. Bob Lilly's Pittsburgh side took out 2 MLS teams last season on their way to a quarterfinal, while they also won the Players' Shield in the USL Championship. So again, this league has produced a really impressive cup run. Like we talked about, now Indy has to get back on track while they're going to be playing for silverware there. Have to get back on track for the main prize for them, which is to fight for a USL Championship crown, currently being held on to by, of course, Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, I think you've definitely seen an uptick in the quality of the caliber of the league that the league have been able to attract in terms of players, but also the development of young players. We're seeing double figures of young players from the USL Championship being sold to teams in Europe. Not that the USL Championship is all about selling players, but if a player has a bigger opportunity to have the talent and the team can benefit from the business aspect, then of course it's all part of the game. But this is something that maybe 5-6 years ago we were not seeing as frequently as we are in the past couple of years. So it speaks about the way that the league has grown positively over the years, that it's now in a position where young players can be sold to big European clubs.
Many people believe Nick Marcanic might be one of the next names on that list. Nice ball in from Torres, tried to find MD Myers. It was headed off of his head, and Augie Williams comes back to get it and plays it off of Rodriguez for an Indy throw.
I think it was actually a good signing, not starting today, but Chapman coming into this Charleston team. He just adds a little bit of skill and experience that they're probably going to need going into that last stretch, is having somebody who can come into the game, manage the game, communicate with the other players on the field, has been in this situation, won championships before, played at a higher level. I think that's a great pickup going into this phase of the season, is just having experience on the team.
Especially because the Battery released a statement without a timeline for Aaron Malloy's return, so that could prove to be pretty darn important for the stretch run, to your point, Chris.
And of course, Chapman, it wasn't that long ago that he was coming on for Inter Miami in the MLS, so this is a player with a high level of ability, high level of experience. Definitely somebody who's going to have an impact between now and the end of the season. And that's what I was speaking about briefly when I was talking about depth. When you have a player of that caliber on your bench, it speaks volumes for where you're at as a team.
Augie Williams looks to lead the charge for Indy here. He plays a nice ball behind him to get Aiden Stanley involved. Stanley across, Romario Williams for Augie Williams, but it's cut out nicely by Dos Santos at the vital moment.
Great interception there from Dos Santos, but again, it starts with Stanley on that left-hand side, running forward, delivering balls into the box. Just unable to have that quick chemistry to move the ball quickly on the edge of the box there in the 11 to get a shot off. Dos Santos steps in and intercepts it and gets Charleston back into comfortable possession of the ball. Of course, we're in that period of the season where the temperature's hot, the humidity is fairly high. It slows down the tempo of the game a little bit, and teams have to pick and choose their moments of when to press, when to play at a high tempo, and when to just slow the game down a little bit and control the speed of play in order to give themselves a breather to get back.
Nice recovery by Deespay to catch up with Marcanic after it was a clever ball looped over the top to find him.
Yeah, Deespay just turning on the jets there. You saw Marcanic probably had a 2 or 3 yard head start, and Deespay was able to make up that ground pretty quickly and win possession of the ball. it's going to be an interesting battle because Markanic, to win that battle, it's not going to be a one where he's going to be able to win the foot race. So it's going to be where he's going to have to be able to use his mind, and his positioning, his anticipation is going to be what allows him to win the success in that 1v1 battle.
30 minutes gone in the half. Both teams have had half chances. Haven't really had a clear-cut opportunity as Ikaza plays one in on Ben Mines. That's going to be a free kick for Indy. Might have been frustrated after he was bumped into by Romario Williams earlier in the sequence, but he's given away a set-piece opportunity here.
It's a little push to the chest. Definitely a free kick.
I don't think he was trying to play the ball there, Emilio Ikaza.
He's trying to obstruct his opponent.
Certainly a good player to have on a set piece. Cam Lindley will try to find somebody in red. Indy 11. Lindley's ball in. He's going to be punched away by Garner. Volleyed back into traffic. And I think Garner may have gotten another touch onto it if it wasn't one of the defenders in front of him.
This was probably Garner's first test here, and I thought, is he going to catch it? Punches it away. I thought he had time to collect that ball, but the delivery into the box from Lindley was probably a little bit too floaty that his team would have liked. Probably needed to be a little bit more driven and whipped.
Stanley took a deflection. I think it's going to go out of play. Indy will get a corner. Good pressure here from the visitors. Get another Lindley service. Probably the most sustained pressure that Indy's had in the first half. Can they get a reward for it here? Lindley's ball in. It was flicked away by Archer. Go out for a throw, for a reset. Charleston this season at home, 9 prior home games, 7 wins, just 1 draw. Talked about it earlier. The one loss was a 2-1 defeat against El Paso in stoppage time here. Armando Moreno scoring both goals. And Wilmer Cabrera's first game in charge. I don't mean to try to jinx Charleston, but that was also a CBS Sports Golazo game a few months back. Oh, hello, Devin Rensing. Still got it.
I think the fans appreciated that one. I think he wants to put his jersey back on and get on the field with that touch.
It's about as clean of a touch as we've seen in this first half.
Say you're confident without saying you're confident. I think he put a few players to shame right there.
Rodriguez. We tried to find Myers. It's covered by Ofemu. It's not cleared yet. Ikaza. Rodriguez again. Torres. Surveying the scene, Dos Santos. First time ball in by Torres. Oh, it was a clever little back heel from Myers, but I think Ofemu got a deflection on that, and Salt has an easy save in the end.
Not a bad effort there from Myers. The ball was just a little bit behind him, and he just tries to get creative and do whatever he can to direct it on target. The deception alone could have seen it trickle into the back of the net.
Dos Santos. He's going to leave it for Rodriguez. He does have 4 assists this season. That's the most of any Battery player. Former Phoenix standout. Segbers. Back and forth with Allen. Time and space for Dos Santos. And Dos Santos tried to slide it through for Myers. Torres picks up the pieces. Ikaza. Battery forced to go back almost towards midfield. Allen will go back to midfield. Archer's available. About 10 minutes plus stoppage time to play.
And this is where we're seeing that dominance in possession from Charleston without really hurting Indy 11. Indy 11 doing a good job of keeping their space, but if they leave Rodriguez in little pockets of space like that, they'll get hurt. Too much time and space to receive that ball and turn and face forward.
It's still Rodriguez, who's also running out of space, but has Segbers. Segbers from Myers. Myers tried to shield the ball away, but Indy come out with it through Romario Williams and company.
Indy 11 doing a good job of getting two banks of four, making it difficult for Charleston to break them down, but there's times when the likes of Rodriguez is able to find himself in little pockets of space where he can receive the ball and face forward, and that's where he's dangerous. Somebody's got to do a better job of keeping a closer eye on him and being at distance that as that ball's traveling to him, they're able to close him down and prevent him from turning. Because when he does turn and he gets his head up, that's when he's able to find runners or to get the shot off himself.
Can't promise you that we'll know how good Sean McCauley's touch is by the end of the night, but who knows? We'll see. Nice ball up ahead for Augie Williams. First time ball across, leaves a little bit to be desired. It's a goal kick.
Yeah, poor decision there. There was nobody in that area, and the quality on the delivery wasn't quite good enough had there even been anybody there. Probably would have just needed to be a little bit more patient there, give his teammates an opportunity to join the attack. Obviously, Augie Williams is rapid. There's not many players that can keep up with him when he makes those runs in behind, so he probably has to slow the play down a little bit when he gets there, give his teammates an opportunity to catch up with him.
Here's Rodriguez trying to turn on the turbo jets. He has help. Can't quite take the ball with him in the end. Torres follows up.
Well, that might have been a free kick there. It looked like he was getting his heels clipped at 2 or 3 times there.
Williams nudges it down, and Stanley and company can try to build here for Indy. It does feel like both teams are still trying to find the flow in the final third.
I was told an interesting stat this week by a head coach. If your conversion rate is 1 in 3 chances, that makes you an elite striker. If it's 1 in 5, you're probably in and around USL Championship, 2nd division. And if it's 1 in 8, you're probably just playing some level of professionalism somewhere. And it's interesting because Marcanic hasn't had 1 shot in this first half. So despite not being that active, if he gets 1 chance, 1 score, gets 1 chance, scores the opportunity, it still keeps him in the elite category. So this is the difference, that strikers can be quiet in games. What they need is that opportunity to score, and the ability to convert is really gives them the value. And we spoke about his ability to score goals being a wider player rather than being a number 9. A lot of the attacking in this first half has come down the left-hand side through the likes of Torres. It's not necessarily been coming down the right-hand side as much.
To your point, it took him a little while to get into that game here against Miami a few games back, but early in the second half, he gets a chance, he scores, and then Marcanic converted a penalty not far after that as well, as Myers is played in here. Myers cuts it back. He was looking for Marcanic, goes behind him.
Yeah, you can see there's a little chemistry and understanding of knowing where he is, where that run's going to be. The pass probably just wasn't good enough, and angle was a little tight, but you can see there's already a little bit of memory or muscle memory between the two players, a connection of understanding where the pass is going to go in certain situations.
It's going to be a Charleston throw, last off of Ben Mines. He's been active again, Torres, as we look at the last Charleston sequence.
There's the cutback. Tough, there's 2 defenders in that area where Marcanic would have wanted that ball delivered. So it had to be cut back a little bit deeper, but finding their way into the final third, just not finding the quality with that final pass to create that opportunity to get the go-ahead goal.
Allen's ball in, headed away only as far as Dos Santos, not on the same page with Allen. It's last off of Allen and out of play.
Possession significantly in favor of Charleston Battery right now, 67% to Indy 11's 32%. However, again, just 2 shots on target for both teams. So despite the dominance in possession, it's not created much in terms of goal scoring opportunities or testing. Solte in the Indy 11 goal.
And neither goalkeeper has been super active. Maybe Garner slightly, ever so slightly, the busier of the two.
Yeah, we saw that cross that came across, or the free kick that came into the box that maybe he should have held on to, that he was able to punch away. But if you're talking about ticking boxes, he's getting away the first half with a clean sheet so far, and you know that's the aim, is to complete the game without conceding the goal. So he's almost at a phase where he can say half the job is done.
Finds his cross, headed out for Mario Williams. Neidlinger, on an academy contract with Indy, tried his luck. And Indy will stay at this end with an opportunity to provide more service in the penalty area, I think.
Yeah, it looked like looks like it took a deflection. It was actually a fairly good strike. Does well, gets it out his feet, tries to bend it into the far corner. May have found itself on target had it not taken that deflection out for a corner kick.
If the game keeps going like this, set pieces are going to become more and more important as the match continues. Aiden Stanley is ready for Indy. And the ball, oh, it bounces around. Augie Williams, the angle against him, sends it out of play.
Again, another dangerous delivery there from Stanley. Just nobody attacking the ball. It's driven, whipped in and around the box. Just needs somebody attacking that far post at the right time. There's no one there. Archer's able to get his head onto it first, pretty much unchallenged. Deflection there from Rodriguez, almost gave the ball to Williams.
Garner sends it ahead. Still a chance for one of these two teams to grab some late momentum at the end of the half. Garner pressured by Martinez, gets it upfield. Pay.
And it'll be important for Garner to get this first half under his belt without conceding a goal. It'll start to build a little bit of confidence in him, a little bit of chemistry with the team, and it'll help him to continue and have better performances as the games go on.
Lindley. Mines in the near side of the pitch. Ofemu joins in. It's Lindley again. And again, it was nowhere close.
Yeah, I thought when this ball came out on the right-hand side to Mines here, and he's in tons of space on his own, I thought he has to be more positive with his first touch there. He has to drive at players, get them backing up, get himself going forward towards the touchline. He just keeps possession of the ball, but he's in enough time and space where he can be more dangerous with his decision-making, more purposeful, more forward on the front foot, forward thinking. Ideally, they want to work the ball out into those wide areas where Mines can break lines on his first touch and get in behind. And then he has the potential to put in maybe some of those deliveries that we saw from Stanley earlier in the game.
Allen. Cheeky touch from Torres. Ikaza. Back for Torres. Marcanic. Ooh, a battle going on in the penalty area. Player goes down for Indy. Referee will have to stop the play for a possible head injury here. Looked like MD Myers was trying to... Oh, and Cam Lindley took exception to that. And extracurriculars have flashed up here at the end of the first half. Dees Pay and Myers were battling for position, but Indy aren't thrilled with the way that that ended while the play was going on elsewhere.
Be interested to see if any of the linesmen are able to provide additional context to the referee about what took place there, because the ball was on the other side, so it may not have been in the referee's eyes.
He was pushing and shoving. Oh, and Myers' hand goes on the top of Deespay's head. Not saying there was maybe anything.
Well, it's definitely not in a natural position, right?
Now that's for sure.
He's definitely got no defense.
Yeah.
If the linesman saw it, what's your hands doing up there?
We're told that there's not any official stoppage time to be added on here, but there will be a little bit of extra, you'd think, for this stoppage. Certainly, MD Myers treading the line, to say the least. It looked like he pushed down on Deespay's head.
Yeah, I don't think Deespay got concussion from that little push down
No.
either, by the way. I think he's also selling it, which is well within his rights to do. Be interesting if the referee actually saw anything that transpired.
That conversation is ongoing right now. Deespay has joined that conversation. I also wonder if Cam Lindley could be in some trouble for retaliating and pushing MD Myers, which certainly is in yellow card territory. Oh, and now a minute goes up, so there is a minute. We'll see how much longer now since we've played the minute. The first half will commence. It doesn't look like anyone was punished as far as cards were concerned.
And what will be interesting to see, the referee set a tone now for the remainder of the game where he has to be consistent in how he adjudicates these decisions.
Charleston get a free kick. See if it's the last major act of the half. Lindley's gonna have to be careful now because he's pushed a player, another foul for him. He's gonna have to tread a little bit more lightly as we go into the second half, whether he likes it or not.
Yeah, and while you might applaud his tenacity to go and close down quickly, he probably gets a little bit too tight there. And he gets turned, and his only option is to foul and pull on the shirt in order to stop play advancing.
Well, a solid opportunity here for Charleston to try to create something in the dying embers of the half. Augie Williams is now having a discussion with Joshua Encarnacion before the free kick is to be taken. Rodriguez with Allen to his right, stands over it. Goes right back to Rodriguez, who clips it. It's going to come up short, and the first half ends here in the Low Country. Now both teams trying to find their footing in the final third to this point. Good moments of build-up play from both sides, but a bit blunt inside of each 18-yard box.
Yeah, both teams have probably cancelled each other out in this first half, to say the least. Charleston obviously having the dominance in possession, but they just haven't been that attacking threat that we've been accustomed to seeing. It's been a quiet first half for Mechanic. I imagine there may be some tinkering or tweaking at halftime from both teams. It's going to be an interesting second half, to say the least.
We'll see how much the extracurriculars get involved in the second half as well. No score here in the Low Country with a big 45 minutes still to play between two of the best the USL Championship has to offer. We'll see how the second half plays out in just a few moments. We'll look at both teams' upcoming schedule when we come back.
Means training tomorrow's leaders in the latest technologies, because we know the next idea to change the future of medicine may well come from them. At the Medical University of South Carolina, innovation is who we are.
Hola.
¿Alguna otra cerveza?
No, Michelob Ultra.
Ok, ahora vuelvo.
Every lottery ticket purchase keeps education in our state moving forward. Like in 2005, when lottery proceeds helped purchase new school buses that kept South Carolina students on the road to success. Because arriving safely to school every day is the first important step on their journeys to the careers and lives they've always dreamed of. When you play the lottery, you're helping fund the futures of students all over our state, which is why education is our middle name.
Innovation means developing novel therapies for patients today and taking the first steps toward life-changing discoveries decades in the future. At the Medical University of South Carolina, innovation is who we are.
When you know that you're finally home, and that long stretch of road falls behind that line. Won't stop, don't stop, believe and tell me what you want, I want you see it. 'Cause right here, right now, you can be anybody.
Halftime in the Low Country, it's Charleston 0, Indy 0. CBS Sports Golazo Network blockbuster matchup tonight. Second half's coming up in just a moment, but first, Sean St. Jacques, Chris Nurse here with you. We're going to take a look through the upcoming schedule for both teams. For Charleston, they have Memphis coming into town next weekend before that huge trip to Louisville.
Yeah, I think that's the one that everybody is salivating at. Charleston against Louisville City. If they're able to win that, it makes a huge dent in the regular season champion race. It's the game that everybody's looking forward to.
A lot of big teams coming to the Low Country. Sac Republic as well, at the beginning of September. Indy's upcoming schedule, they have Rhode Island, New Mexico just lost their first home game last night. And of course, that big Open Cup semifinal, they'll go play Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah, obviously a big game against Rhode Island in there, who are just, right now, Rhode Island are 5 points, maybe a little bit more than 5 points off, 4 points off from them in the standings. So that game could have huge implications. Rhode Island on a good streak of form, climbing up the rankings after a little bit of a slow start. A few teams tussling out for those remaining playoff spaces.
Going to learn a lot about these two teams towards the end of that schedule, with a lot of big games coming up in August. And again, you know, that huge win for Indy 11 over Atlanta United in the quarterfinals to get to a U.S. Open Cup semifinal, waving the flag for the USL Championship.
Yeah, obviously it's fantastic to see USL Championship teams advancing to such deep stages of the US Open Cup. However, they've got to bring this form to the regular season, because this is where they're going to be judged come the postseason.
Massive achievement for Indy, who are competing for 2 trophies as we get towards the latter stage of the season. Again, it's no score here in the Low Country. We'll take another break and we'll look around the upcoming schedule and the league next.
Most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why.
Yeah, trick. I said what I said. I don't care. I paint the town red.
If you can survive this, it's going to make the whole story that much better.
The bright horses are broken free from the fields.
They're hungry for the women's game. They want to see women's soccer. They want to play women's soccer, and that's what we're building at the USL.
You can see it in my eyes. Only want the best. And running every night. Won't settle for less. Got me looking to the sky. Got me feeling blessed. Got this fire burning up inside of my chest. Burning up inside of my chest. Got this fire burning up inside of my chest.
Pain doesn't care who you are or why you hurt, but pain can be mastered if you know the way. Fight back with Tiger Balm's legendary herbal power. Trusted for over 100 years, our proven blend of camphor, menthol, and essential oils tames pain with the strength and speed of the tiger, so that you can rise above pain and get back to living. This is the way of the tiger.
Touchdown by Rodriguez, going for goal, it's Morris, and it's in! Detroit City's ahead!
And a bit of space as well, he'll have a go from distance! Oh, what a
goal! Sean St. Jacques, Chris Nurse back here with you at the hat between the Battery and Indy 11. No score yet, but still a massive second half to come in just a few moments. Let's take a look at the Charleston Airport scores and, of course, upcoming schedule around the league. Of course, the big one, everyone circled on their calendar. CBS, Detroit City against Rhode Island tomorrow.
Yeah, Detroit City versus Rhode Island. Rhode Island have been on a great streak of form lately. They found a way to get players healthy. They've been picking up results, firmly solidified themselves in a playoff positions right now with a win against North Carolina last weekend. And of course, we mentioned they're going to have a big clash coming up.
And tomorrow on Golazo as well, Monterey Bay against Tampa Bay Rowdies. So if you're glued to the Golazo network, that'd be a good one to take a look at. First game since Frank Yallop has departed as Monterey Bay head coach. Then, of course, New Mexico against Louisville. The two top teams in the respective conferences meeting there as well. So a lot of good stuff to get to. But, of course, again, CBS, last CBS game of the season tomorrow, Detroit against Rhode Island. And then other good games coming up, part of the USL Summer of Soccer. Louisville, Sac Republic, August 10th. Certainly a big one. That's going to be on ESPN2, Chris.
Yeah, Louisville City have been really exciting to watch lately. Scoring a ton of goals, defensively solid, really expansive in the way they play. They throw a lot of bodies forward, but they're very vulnerable in the counter-attack. So it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to see out this season.
It's been a great week in the USL Championship. Time to take a look back at some of the goals of the week and the Player of the Month nominees.
Will be all Zach Ryan as he goes for goal and scores!
Here's Torres, left-footed shot, and it bounces in!
Heel helps, and this could be a chance for Louisville. This is going to roll all the way through, and it's a big-time strike!
Worth takes it. Oh, and it's in! 17-year-old Nate Worth!
Chance to cross. The header is in! Nick Marquette scores!
Zach Ryan, it ricochets around and leg it! Oh, brilliant goal! Wesley Leggett!
This on that back line. Very difficult to track everyone.
Real chance at this with 20 minutes to go. Into the sweet spot, Buddha takes the shot, great stop. Penaranda kicks out the left boot.
When we took this job, we knew that the future was the EX90.
A lot of people are excited about it.
We're really happy to see the EX90 on the line.
I'm Tamara Thompson and Rachel Gillum.
My name is Eric Brown.
And the Volvo EX90 was made by us.
L is for the way you look. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore can love. Is all that I can give to you.
This is your vacation, your beach, your fields of green, skies of blue, mountains of majesty. You're an athlete, you're obsessed, you're in love, you're in pain, spirit drained, in agony, fighting gravity, because you made a commitment to yourself and others to work on your game, build your frame in blazing heat, exhausted and beat, because when you refuse to yield, your spirit is revealed. You are an athlete. MUSC Health Sports Medicine.
Every lottery ticket purchase keeps education in our state moving forward. Like in 2005, when lottery proceeds helped purchase new school buses that kept South Carolina students on the road to success. Because arriving safely to school every day is the first important step on their journeys to the careers and lives they always dreamed of. When you play the lottery, you're helping fund the futures of students all over our state, which is why education is our middle name.
When we took this job, we knew that the future was the EX90.
A lot of people are excited about it.
We're really happy to see the EX90 on the line.
I'm Tamara Thompson and Rachel Gillum.
My name is Eric Brown.
And the Volvo EX90 was made by us.
Sean St. Jacques, Chris Nurse back here with you, about to get the second half started here in the Low Country. No score yet between Charleston and Indy 11. Of course, we talked about this earlier in the half. Big game coming up as well for Charleston at home here at Patriots Point against Memphis 901 FC. Tickets are available via SeatGeek. And of course, you can get them right now going to charlestonbattery.com. Let's take a look back at the first half highlights between these two Eastern Conference foes. Against second place Charleston, fourth place Indy in the USL Championship coming into the night. And Charleston almost scored, Chris, but this goal was waved off in the 3rd minute. Yeah, it looked like there was just a push in that near post area as Archer went up for the header, and this goal was ruled disallowed. Ends up being probably the closest chance either side had in the entirety of the half. Didn't go Charleston's way, and in the 15th minute, Indy with a laser beam from Dispe. Yeah, Indy have had a couple of opportunities coming from distance. This one wasn't too far away from Dispe. You could see by the reaction of Garner in goal, scattering across his goal line, but it went wide of the upright. Another chance for Indy from a set piece. Second opportunity off the punch. First one where we've actually seen Garner tested, makes 2 good saves here in consecutive. Punches the first one away, but the shot here comes back in. He does well to react on the floor. Still tied 0-0. And just 3 minutes later, Charleston with an opportunity. A little bit of creativity here. Torres with the driven ball into the box. Tries to flick it. The ball's a little bit behind him, but does well to try and react, organize his feet there, and just guide it on target. Solte in goal was able to react to it, keep it out the back of the net. Getting towards the end of the first half now. A couple Indy chances. First from Cam Lindley. Yeah, another shot from distance here. Not as close as Dispe's a little bit earlier, but this is what Indy have kind of been forced into in this first half, is to get shots off from distance in the few opportunities they've had towards goal. Tempers frayed a little bit at the end of the half as well. As we look at the Heineken halftime stats, a lot of chances. You'd look at the stats, they would tell you that, but not a lot of really clear-cut opportunities. Yeah, and the possession is obviously the disparity, but if you're talking about chances or shots on target, shots created, you can see both teams are fairly matched. So Charleston have to be a little bit careful in that the possession that they're having is not leading them to creating opportunities to take the lead, and they could easily get caught on their counter-attack from Indy 11 given the equal shots and shots taken. So it's going to be interesting to see if Charleston are able to be a little bit more purposeful with the possession they have, or if Indy are able to capitalize one of these opportunities they're having on the counter-attack. Well, we'll see if Devin Rensing, the acting coach tonight, made any adjustments to answer some of the lingering questions from the first half. Again, Ben Pierman suspended tonight with the red card. No questions, though, about Devin Rensing's first touch. Look at this from the first half. Definitely one of the highlights of the first half. Look, doesn't even go above head height. Killed it, dead. I think he's going to be playing a few of the players in 2-touch this week, and when they get back into practice, I think they're all going to be trying to challenge him in 2-touch. We'll see if Ben Pierman has to match that next time when he's back on the touch
He gave them
line,
the look. He gave them the look as well. That's how you do it.
Effortless. Devin Rensing.
I think Ben Pierman's going to have his turn, be like, don't show me up like that again.
I was going to say, too, Ben Pierman always has his sneaker game on point as well. I don't know if I want to get any scuffs on those sneakers, but we have just been told that Indy are making a halftime substitution, and it's one of pretty big note. Ben Mines is going to be taken out, and after a long stretch with an injury, Aiden Quinn returns for Indy 11. Sean McCauley told us that he's been on his way back. He had a full week of training pretty much. He's back, and that's a huge bit of skill and experience to have back in the Indy midfield, especially with some of the other absentees not available.
Yeah, you can already see Aiden Quinn in the center of the park getting some touches on the ball, and it's going to be important not just to have him in today's game, but also to have him fit and healthy going into the last stretch of the season. They've got to get back onto the field, get him to build his confidence, his rapport, chemistry with the team, and going into good shape going into the important stretch towards the playoffs.
And the captain's armband as well just tells you how important he is in this group and how important he could be in Indy's stretch run in this USL Championship campaign.
Of course, another dangerous player from set-piece deliveries. He's a number of assists from dead ball situations, so he's a player who can have a positive impact in this game, both defensively in organizing and building up from the back, but also in the attacking third.
We had a little bit of trouble there, trying to turn. Charleston will get possession back. The battery going from left to right in this second half. Black and yellow, for those just joining us. CBS Sports Golazo Network. Indy are in all red. Here comes Arturo Rodriguez marauding forward, finds Nick Marcanic. Marcanic hasn't had too much of a sniff, especially as far as goal-scoring opportunities in this game so far. Segber's involved here. And Marcanic is going to be forced back to Emilio Icaza for a refresh.
So better job there from Segber's on the second time the ball went out to Marcanic. The first time it goes out and Segber's doesn't make an overlapping run, so it's very predictable. There's 3 defenders and Marcanic alone. The second time he does make that run. Just giving Marcanic a little bit more time on the ball to face forward and make his decision.
Segber's about to run forward here. Marcanic, Rodriguez. Marcanic onto his left. Too many red shirts ahead of him. It's blocked only as far as Allen. Allen looks to try to find space for a pass. He has it picked off. Augie Williams looks to lead the break for Indy. Good hustle by Allen to stifle it. There's room for Lindley to operate here for the visitors.
It's deceptive because Marcanic starts outside and then drifts inside. You can see he's demanding the ball to feet. You can see his ability with quick touches on the ball to take it, get it under control, get it out of his feet and try to get his shots off. But they just need to keep finding him more consistently. He's been starved of service in good positions so far in this game.
Famu stepped in there, but Archer and Icaza tried to connect. It does fall for Marcanic. Dees pays all over it, and then Lindley might have come off his arm there, so he tried to keep it away from Icaza.
Strong tackle there from Dispe, but it's what you expect. You're playing against the league's leading goal scorer. Every time he gets the ball, players have to surround him. They have to close him down quickly. They have to put him under pressure, and Indy 11 have done a good job of that so far. But what it does is when he does attract with a player, it does create space for other players, and somebody else has to step up when he's attracting the pressure from many of the Indy 11 defenders to be that player to take responsibility of the ball.
Marcanic brought down by Stanley. As this midfield battle continues, the Battery get a free kick.
And I think he had, obviously he knows how to do with it. I'm sure as the season's gone on and teams have started to recognize how dangerous he can be, they're paying a lot more closer attention to him. They're getting close to him, they're getting tight to him. He's having to draw free kicks. They're putting him in situations where they want to intimidate him and psychologically get the better of him. And he's got to be able to become strong and handle those situations, continue to put the ball in the back of the net, because as he continues to score, he puts himself more in the spotlight and he's only going to get more attention from defenders.
Stanley gears up for a throw-in here for Indy. It's going to go right into the 18-yard box and right out of the 18-yard box. So he tried to find Douglas Martinez, who was actually kind of hugging the end line there and didn't have too much room to really maneuver, even if he did get a touch onto it.
Yeah, you could only imagine Martinez was going to try and redirect that back in towards the 6-yard box area had he been able to get something, but he may even put that down as a wasted opportunity given where they were and the length of Stanley's throw. If it goes into a more dangerous area, there's a second ball there, just throwing out for a goal kick is normally what people do when somebody's down injured.
To your point, because Indy initially took advantage, you can't be offside on a throw. Bit of a waste in the end. Ooh, as Romario Williams is going to pick up a yellow card here for his involvement. That's going to be a free kick for the Battery.
Probably a little bit late. Icaza just flicks it away just as Williams comes. Williams is definitely going for the ball in that situation, but he just arrives a tad late. Referee brandishes his first yellow card of the night.
Sean McCauley wants his side to get up and not have to sit back a little bit more, but they have some defending to do here with Dos Santos up ahead. Rodriguez right back to him. Dos Santos, it took a deflection. Myers on the turn. One of the better opportunities of the night. Salt makes the save.
Great first touch from Myers to get it under control. Just quite didn't get the venom on it they would have liked with his second touch. But this comes as a byproduct exactly that. Indy 11 are so deep that now Charleston are able to get the ball and get their dangerous players touches where they're closer to goal and more likely to convert.
Myers again! Oh, he turns again, and this time he scores! Nick Marcanic gets the assist this time on the 10th goal of the season for M.D. Myers. The breakthrough arrives, and the Battery lead.
Indy 11 cannot complain about this whatsoever, because if it's deja vu, you just saw it from the other side, the exact same move. Controls it, swivels, gets his shot off. The first time he got a shot, but he didn't quite get the purchase on the ball that he would have liked. This time, no mistake, across his body, doesn't get tight enough to stop the cross, doesn't get close enough to stop the shot at O'Brien in that instance. He needs to get tighter, he needs to be able to close down that first touch. And Myers, on his second attempt, makes no mistake, gives Charleston the lead.
That dazzling play brought to you by Diamonds Direct. M.D. Myers into double figures in the USL Championship after he was the joint Golden Boot winner in MLS Next Pro for New York City FC2 last year. He continues his strong goal-scoring acumen himself. Second Battery player into double figures, and more importantly, Charleston jump out in front.
And if you're looking at it, he should have done that with the first chance he had. It's exactly the same touch, but it was on the opposite side of the field. The second time he gets it, he makes no mistake. And the warning signs were there for Indy 11. You can't allow him to have time and space to control it and then turn and get his strike off. The second he had that first touch, should have kept him facing away from goal towards his own goal. Shouldn't have had the time and space to be able to get his shot off. But there was no defensive midfielder shutting off the line of the pass into his feet. They didn't do well to stop the initial delivery into his feet on 2 occasions. And rightfully, they get punished. You heard Sean McCauley telling them, get up, don't be so deep. They dropped a deep line where the balls could be fed into dangerous positions where they could get goal scoring opportunities and shots off. And Charleston made no mistake. 7 minutes into the second half, and they've taken the lead.
Emilio Icaza deemed to have fouled Augie Williams. Those are 2 former teammates jawing at each other. Icaza not convinced. It's going to be an Indy free kick in a good position. Aiden Quinn is going to leave it, it looks like, for Cam Lindley, who's been on set-piece duty tonight. Well, can Sean McCauley's group find an immediate reply? It's a great ball in. Oh, it was close to Williams. Leland Archer, though, gets his head on it first.
Brilliant defending there for Archer. Keeps his eye on the ball, drops quick enough that he can get good header on the ball. You saw Williams just behind him there, dangerous in that area, looking for the ball, and it's brilliant defending. And we spoke about it a little bit pre-game about not just what Charleston are able to do in the attacking third, but also what they've done this season in the defensive third.
Gardner outlets to Torres, who's under pressure. Cuts in field and has help on that far side. Graham Smith arrives. Graham Smith scored last time out against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. It was his first goal for the Battery in St. Petersburg.
I think what can be confusing sometimes for Indy 11 defense when they're coming up against this Charleston attack is the fluidity of movement between Rodriguez, Marcanic and Torres. They interchange positions throughout the game. Sometimes Torres will pop up on the right, sometimes Marcanic will find himself centrally and Rodriguez will find himself out wide. So they're not rigid in the way that they move or the way they attack. There's a lot of fluidity and interchanging of positions, which makes it a little bit harder to defend, and that's why at times you find Marcanic starts in wide positions, but his end position is normally central, and then Rodriguez is the one who drifts out as play progresses.
The pressure from Segbers forces it out of play. The Battery get the throw. Myers held up. Advantage is played for Marcanic. It's Nick Marcanic. It's right down the heart of the goal.
Marcanic did an excellent head to create the opportunity to get the shot off. works it well. You know in this situation, you can read everything about his body language. It's telling you he wants to get into his left foot. Indy 11 don't do a great job of defending there. Quinn doesn't adjust his feet well enough. O'Brien doesn't get tight to the player whatsoever to block the shot. They're just very lucky that Markanich didn't strike that ball as cleanly as he would have liked. With the quality he has in that left foot, I'm sure he expects better of himself in that situation.
He's starting to get more and more involved. That, by the way, involvement with Markanich on the Myers goal. It's his 4th assist of the season. That's now the joint lead on the team.
And we spoke about the impact that he can have when he's not scoring goals and he's able to attract pressure onto him and create space for others. And having the ability now to create as well as score, you can see the impact that he has for his team offensively.
Quinn, he got away with a shirt pull there. Neidlinger down the far side. Chance to cross this into the middle. Oh, it almost fell for Romario Williams. Critical touch from Emilio Icaza. It'll stay with Indy. Quinn tries to cross it, hits right off of Segber's face. He might need a moment. It looked like that went out for an Indy corner.
While Segers is down, it's important to note that Markanich is the player alongside Segers, doubling up defensively. So whilst he's the league's leading goal scorer,
the MUSC Health Sports Medicine team is the official.
He's going to need a couple minutes there, Segers.
I think it hit right off of his nose before it went out of play. And again, it's a possible head injury, so Charleston's medical staff will have all the time they need to look at him. For Indy get another set piece opportunity. And I must say, in a game that's taken some time to heat up, Mark Segbers has been one of the standout players, I would say, Chris.
Yeah, and we was also highlighting there about Markanich dropping back and doubling up defensively. And this is why it's so incredible the goal output that he has, because he's not just a striker who stands up there and doesn't do the defensive work. He's in the flanks, he's doing his defensive work, doubling up with Segbers, and then attacking and being in the right place at the right moments in the attacking third. The numbers that he's putting up for the distance and the ground that he's covering throughout games is quite remarkable.
The Battery have a brand new look on and off the field this year thanks to Hummel, the club's official jersey provider. Check out the full line of new Battery gear, including the custom 2024 kits, by visiting shop.charlestonbattery.com. Again, of course, we hope Mark Segbers is okay. Devin Rensing is wondering if he may have to make a change here. Only one change has been made, the Quinn substitution that saw Ben Mines depart just before the second half started. And Segbers looks to have a bloody nose that they're trying to, well, stop at the moment. Charleston does have the likes of Josh Drack available if Mark Segbers does have to be substituted, although I'll add that after Josh Drack, there's really not many defensive players available. Robbie Crawford maybe as a versatile veteran could maybe fit that role, but that's about it.
I think if you look at how this ball ends up hitting Segbers, with the new trend in handballs, defenders come out in these wide areas with their hands behind their back, trying to avoid giving away free kicks or the ball hitting their hand. And instead of being able to react and potentially give themselves a saving chance by blocking their faces, their hands are behind their back, which gives them such a longer time to be able to react and protect their faces. So they're left wide open to have to sometimes take the impact of these balls into their face, instead of using your natural responses to protect your face with your hands. So it's kind of catch-22 in this situation, but it's kind of the way that the game has evolved. You see fullbacks coming into wide areas with their hand behind their back, and if the ball is blasting at your face, you're not positioned very well to protect yourself.
It does feel like that situation has made things even more difficult for defenders in those scenarios. Looks like Segbers will try to give it a go. I don't know if he'll be allowed back on before the corner is to be taken here, so Charleston might be down to 10 to guard this set piece.
Yeah, I think they'll have to stop the bleeding before they can determine if he has any sort of concussion.
That will happen. So Segbers continues to be operated on. And from the corner, they tried a little flick on at the near post. And, well, in the end, Martinez not able to do the job.
Yeah, corner was drastically under hit. Doesn't really give Douglas Jr. Martinez anything to work with in that situation. Would have been some goal had he managed to divert on target from that angle.
Yeah, to your point, that's tough skill, even if it's a good ball, into the penalty area. Referee stops the play. This is going to be brought back. I'm not entirely sure why. Indy are also a bit perplexed over the decision.
Hey, Christian! Emmy!
The Battery will keep it. Well, Segbers is back on. That's the good news. Very peculiar decision there from the referee. Regardless, just restart the sequence in the end.
Game just lost a little bit of its momentum in the past 5 or 6 minutes, which may actually play into the hands of Indy 11. Charleston getting that go-ahead goal. The momentum was definitely in their favor, and just being able to slow things down, regroup, allow themselves to recover, may actually play into Indy 11's hands.
Romario Williams. Up to the far side. It's going to be lifted into the penalty area. It's a diving header from Graham Smith, and Dos Santos clears. Indy will keep possession as they continue to search for an equalizer after MD Myers gave the Battery the lead back in the 52nd minute.
Yeah, and after seeing the Segbers go down, it's only natural that Indy 11 would start to attack down that side and test him and see how well he has recovered from that impact with the ball, because sometimes it can take you a few minutes when you receive an impact like that, and you can be a little dizzy and disorientated.
Battle there between O'Brien and Myers. Charleston were convinced they were going to get the call. It goes against Myers. Indy have the ball. Tough to tell from our angle if MD Myers was pulling on O'Brien's shirt, but it certainly looked like O'Brien was holding Myers back. Doesn't go Charleston's way. And by that angle, I'm not entirely sure why Indy did get the decision.
Looks like O'Brien was the aggressor in that situation. Definitely had a grip of the Charleston shirt.
Couple good angles there. Didn't look like MD Myers did anything wrong. First time ball in by Torres. So Femu gets there, and then Torres follows up. That's going to be a Charleston corner off of Neidlinger.
Yeah, there's a good ball in there from Torres. Femu was just well positioned to be able to deal with it.
Very similar to the Miami game a few weeks ago. Can Charleston now get that big second goal to really establish some authority? Arturo Rodriguez this time will take.
And you have to give Charleston credit. They haven't really given, apart from a few long distance efforts, they haven't really given Indiana too many good opportunities in front of goal. They haven't allowed them to break into their box too many times, to create too many dangerous goal scoring opportunities. They've been fairly strong defensively, which goes in line with their record so far this season.
Referee has a word with Quinn and Marcanic. 25 minutes plus stoppage time to play. Charleston trying to get back ahead of Louisville in the race for the Players' Shield. Indy trying to fend off all the teams in the hunt for their home playoff spot right now in 4th place in the East. Rodriguez with a high arcer, had to be headed away. Dees Pay did enough. The Battery will settle for a throw.
Great defending there from Dees Pay, just to read the flight of the ball, keep his eyes on it while he's backpedaling, and head it away from goal. In swinging delivery from Rodriguez.
Marcanic taken out by Dees Pay. got a yellow card written all over it.
Went from some very good defending to a rash lunging tackle here. And again, it's the aggression level, it's the intensity, it's the purpose they want to put onto Markanic when he has the ball, but he has such quick feet. His first touch, and he's able to adjust his feet as he sees Dispay coming in and knock it away from him, knowing that the contact's coming. Now Dispay's in the book. You keep running at him, you keep trying to take him on. There's only a matter of time before he times another tackle poorly, and then he's off the field. They need to keep feeding Markanic the ball to his feet.
Williams and Dispay are the two Indy players now in the book. And Torres and Rodriguez mull over a promising set-piece chance here for the Battery. Williams in a one-man wall. It's his former club. It will be Torres who will shoot! Oh, it's off the bar! What an effort from Juan Torres. He hit the frame the last time the Battery were here against Miami, and he nearly scored a worldie.
It's an absolutely outrageous effort here from Torres. He's got no business shooting from that distance, but you can see why it does. The confidence, that's not far at all. Two inches lower, and that's in the back of the net. Audacious effort. Brilliant from Torres, very unlucky.
Salt looked beaten as well. What a chance that was, what a strike. Indy let off the hook. Now Rodriguez picks it back up for the Battery. Took a little bit of the sting out of the pass. Torres gets it right back off a giveaway. Has Myers to his left. Torres tries again, another deflection on it. And it will roll out, it looks like, for a Battery corner.
He's feeling himself right now, Torres. He's on form, his confidence is high. Picking up the ball in little pockets, driving forward and trying to get shots off from distance. And you can see he has the ability, he has the quality in that left foot where if you give him time and space, he can punish you. That's probably the second or third effort that he's had from distance in this game. There was one earlier in the first half that flew higher over the crossbar. But you can see he's starting to feel himself more in the attack as this game progresses.
Kevin Rensing talked about how Juan Torres can unlock defenses. He frees up space for Markanic and Myers. He attracts attention. Talented players that he deserves to get his stats elevated a little bit more, just says he's a fun player to watch. From the corner, Archer again was in the area. Dispay got a head onto it. Torres goes back to work. He crosses it into the middle. It was dangerous. Lindley heads it away. Battery with some faint appeals for a possible pushover inside the penalty area involving Archer. Regardless, Charleston gets another corner out of it.
Yeah, and it's Torres again with delivery here. And in this situation, he probably does deserve better. Somebody has to be attacking that ball and arriving at the right time to get their head on it, but there's just nobody attacking it. But you can see exactly what head coach Ben Perman is talking about. Torres' ability to get shots off himself, his deliveries into the box. He comes close a lot, but obviously you know you don't get much from coming close.
Rodriguez in again! No, it's touched in this time! Charleston doubles their lead. Emilio Icaza on the doorstep. His third goal of the season. And the Battery take complete command.
Icaza enjoying this moment with the fans. But it starts from a great delivery from the corner kick. And a little bit of luck, the ball comes back off the inside of the coach. Rodriguez whips this in. It comes back off the inside of the post, and Icaza in the right place at the right time gives Solte no chance of keeping this out the back of the net.
Tough to tell who that hit off of first. Might have hit off O'Brien. Then the post. Like you said, Chris, right place, right time for Emilio Icaza.
Starts with the dangerous in-swinging delivery from Rodriguez from the corner kick. And Icaza, who's been very industrious tonight. He's been covering a lot of ground, doing a lot of the unsung dirty work for Charleston. Gets himself on the score sheet. Solidifies Charleston's dominance to put them 2 ahead.
Icaza's brilliant goal is brought to you by Diamonds Direct. Charleston's had to work very, very hard for it, but they've got the lead, and now Augie Williams looks to get on the score sheet, but the flag is up, and he's offside.
Flag up, flag down. For me, that's got to be in the back of the net. Williams has to find a way. First time, he's got to go direct that and goal and put it in the back of the net. Even if the linesman kicks his flag down, he controls the ball, takes the momentum, the sting out. The goalkeeper comes out, the defenders get back, the goal scoring opportunity is gone.
Well, desperate times call for desperate measures. Sean McCauley's getting a couple of changes ready potentially here. Sebastian Guenzati, Lawrence Wooten, they're getting ready. With Indy down by 2 now with 18 minutes plus stoppage time left.
And we spoke a little bit about the ramifications of winning this game for Indy 11. If the scoreline remains as is, this will be their 6th game without a win. And they'll be looking at the table tomorrow because you have Birmingham Legion behind them with a win tomorrow who could jump them, and then they would see themselves drop out of that top 4 position in the playoffs. For Charleston, on the other hand, if the result stays as it is,
they look to build on their lead. Ball played across, and in the end, it is cleared away.
If the result stays as it is for Charleston, they will be temporarily top of the Eastern Conference, jumping over Louisville City onto 46 points. Of course, Louisville City still haven't played it this weekend. They still have a couple of games in hand, but they will be top for a period of time.
That was Jay Chapman involved earlier. He came on for Arturo Rodriguez during the past stoppage. As we told you, Indy is getting a change or two ready themselves, and that might happen in the next sentence or two. That's going to be a free kick for the Battery as they reset.
And we talked about managing the game. You're 2-0 up. You're now able to bring on a player like Chapman to solidify things and see the game out with the experience that he has. His ability to be responsible in possession of the ball only strengthens your team as you go into the deeper stages of the game.
They just brought him in for the rest of the season on loan, so Jay Chapman could have a really big impact at the end of this season for the Charleston Battery. And to your earlier point, Chris, you know, Christian Garner in on loan, short-term loan from Greenville Triumph in USL League One, maybe under some pressure tonight, but Charleston's been so good defensively. As you mentioned earlier, Indy really hasn't tested him very often, maybe once or twice.
Yeah, I think when your defense is that good, your goalkeeper doesn't have to make too many saves. Of course, there's going to be moments when maybe they don't face too many shots and they're going to have to be high concentration, because when they do, they haven't been that active. But he hasn't had that much to do tonight, so it's been a fairly quiet night. Of course, his objective is going to be able to keep a clean sheet. Still a good 20 minutes to go in this game, so there's still enough time for Indy 11 to get themselves back onto the score sheet now. With a couple of changes, some fresh legs coming to the game. Guenzati, we know who's a player who's capable of creating and scoring goals himself. Expecting an exciting end to this game.
Guenzati and Wooten both come on as we anticipated. Cam Lindley and Dees Pay on a yellow card both exit. 15 minutes plus stoppage left. Does Indy have a comeback in them? Will the Battery finish them off? Marcanic. It's going to stay with Charleston. On the far side, it's a throw.
Ben Perman describes Marcanic as a really good defender. It's not something you normally hear associated with the league's leading goal scorer on the fringes of setting a new record. Normally, strikers with those statistics very rarely defend. You don't want them to defend. You want them to keep their energy for the attacking third. But
good ball in from Torres. Myers had 2 players on him. And there's still a decision here over who this was last off of. It's going to be a goal kick.
And you can see why they demand more out of Torres, because he's probing. He's always probing, trying to create. He doesn't quite get the end product, but he's always looking forward, trying to play that forward pass, trying to create for his teammates.
Well, if Indy are to mount a recovery effort, they need to get that first goal as quickly as they can. And like you said, Chris, certainly capable. You have Romario Williams, Augie Williams, and Sebastian Guenzati all on the field together. So there will be some opportunities, you would think, down the stretch. Unless the Battery just keep playing right through them. Allen is fouled by Neidlinger. And the young Academy product is going to be booked here, it looks like, yeah.
It's great use of his body there from Allen. Again, it's Torres playing the vertical pass in between lines. Allen just uses his body to just shield the ball and turn all at the same time and catches the young buck completely unaware. Ends up giving away a needless foul.
Neidlinger's booking is confirmed. And the Battery can keep pushing to try to find the decisive blow to clinch the points here. Torres, who's continued to be a handful. He's able to keep that alive with a couple of back-heeled attempts. Dos Santos on the turn. He finds Torres. Torres for Marcanic, it deflects in! Nick Marcanic, everything he touches turns to goals for the Battery. It's his 20th goal of the season. Charleston surely now home and hosed with the points, and they will vault back to the top of the Players' Shield race. Nick Marcanic's magical season continues.
And this is not something that we haven't seen earlier in this game. Earlier in this game, we saw the pass was a little bit deeper. Marcanic was a little further ahead, but you see where Marcanic positioned himself just for the cutback and then just guides it on frame. It takes a deflection, it's into the back of the net past Salty. But again, we spoke about that cohesion and players understanding where to find each other. And you thought the opportunity was gone. You thought Torres took a little bit longer to play this pass than he should have. But he had enough time and space. Marcanic was in enough time and space that despite taking a little bit more time on the ball, they were still able to convert the goal-scoring opportunity. And who Ben Perman disguised as a really good defender ends up scoring another goal, his 20th for the season, closing in on that 25-goal tally to become USL Championship all-time leading goal scorer.
Battery goal with a sparkling finish. The aid of a deflection is brought to you by Diamonds Direct. It's the beginning of August, and Nick Marcanic has the same amount of goals that Albert Diqua finished with last season as the Golden Boot winner. How remarkable is that?
And you can fact check me on this. So how many, remember we were speaking about 1 in 3 conversion makes you an elite striker. How many shots has Marcanic had in this game?
Probably 3 or 4, right?
I think he's right at the fringe of 1 in 3 opportunities created. But you have to give Torres, we spoke a lot about Torres in this game. Torres put it on a plate for him.
It took Charleston a half, just like it did last time out at Patriots Point. We have seen them at some of their best in this second half, and Indy have been picked apart. Like you said, Chris, at the moment, still 11 minutes left to be fair, but Indy staring a 6-match stretch without a win in the face right now.
Yeah, and if you look at Marcanic's positioning for the right winger or the right...
Ooh, Myers sneaks in.
The right player, even in this situation, look where Myers is and look where Marcanic is making his run. It's very difficult for the defenders to mark because he makes diagonal runs inside, even the position where he gets the strike off for the goal. It's not the position that you're expecting your widest player on the right-hand side to be entering. So it speaks volumes of his intelligence, his ability to find spaces at the right time, and just has an intuition of where the ball is going to arrive. It's a very difficult skill, goal scoring, and he has a nose for it. Sometimes it's something that's not that easy to coach. Sometimes players just have an instinct or a sense for where the ball's going to be, and he seems to have that right now.
Here's Marcanic. He's brought down. That's a free kick. A goal and an assist tonight for Nick Marcanic. Continues to be a nuisance for the Indy 11.
Uses his body well here to protect the ball and draw a free kick for his team in a dangerous area.
We asked Devin Rensing about Nick Marcanic's season. He says, others passed on him in the past. We believed in him. So he gets out of jams, can score in a multitude of ways. They're not shocked by the season he's putting together. They knew he had something like this in him. He's been proving himself week in and week out. He says his ceiling is what he makes of it. He says the team success is the biggest thing on his agenda.
And again, players who normally hit those type of numbers are taking free kicks, they're taking penalties, anything within shooting distance, they're normally taking, as you can see here.
Torres tries again to bend to that top corner. It's blocked.
He's not the dedicated set-piece taker from a goal-scoring distances, so it really is incredible the numbers he's putting up this season so far.
It's Marcanic again. Again, Indy tries to swarm around him anytime he touches it. It's out for a throw.
Yeah, and that's where, if you read that situation, so many players closing him down. That's where you need that one player making that diagonal run in behind that he can just slot into space.
Chapman for Torres. Clever first-time ball. Marcanic not quite able to get onto it. Augie Williams is going to win a throw-in after Ikaza stepped in.
And that's Ikaza who got the second goal. And we spoke about the industrious work that he's done in the middle of the park, closing players down, winning back the ball for his team.
The Battery are getting ready. 3 changes here. Jackson Conway, Robbie Crawford, and Prince Sadie all getting set to come on here down the stretch. It does look like that might be the end of the night here for Nick Marcanic. He's going to exit. MD Myers is going to be taken off, it looks like, as well. Might be all 3 of the attacking triumvirate. Torres looks to be making his way out also. All 3 making a very positive impact. A goal from Myers, a goal and assist from Marcanic. And the man who takes all the pressure off them, Juan Torres, certainly making a big impact as well. So Torres, Marcanic, and Myers are out. Conway, Sadie, and Crawford all on to finish it off.
I think Ben Perman owes his right-hand man a drink tonight. Clean, well, potentially a clean sheet, silky touch, 3 points.
And number 7, Prince Sadie.
Maybe he's worthy of the match ball today, Devin Rensing, the job he's done.
It's safe to say that he manned the ship well in the absence of Ben Perman tonight.
And in the absence of his best midfielder and 2 of his goalkeepers to add on to that.
And that's what we were talking about earlier with the depth in the roster. Even the 3 substitutions that just came in off the bench, these were players who were penciled or penned in starters in other teams throughout the years, are now in the depth of this very strong Charleston roster.
Picked up here for the veteran, Robbie Crawford. Allen. And if it holds, Charleston will go back to first, not just in the East, but in all of the USL Championship, although Louisville have 3 games in hand. As Sadie plays that across, it's going to be tapped in for another. Jackson Conway's first touch since coming off the bench is his 4th goal of the season, and Charleston's 4th goal on the night. It's becoming a replay of last season's playoff game here in the Low Country. Charleston running riot. They lead Indy by 4 goals to 0.
Charleston Battery absolutely battering Indy 11 in this second half. And this is a little bit different to what we saw in the first half. The dynamic ability to take players on 1v1, and his 2 substitutes combining to get this goal. Conway at the back post after brilliant work on the left-hand side there.
It's starting to turn into a statement performance from the Charleston Battery. It's another Diamonds Direct finish. Jackson Conway puts his name on the score sheet. It's Charleston's 4th different goal scorer tonight. And after Indy hung around in the first half, They've been lost in the second half.
2 substitutions. 2 of the substitutes came in and combined for that goal. And if there was one thing that I was thinking in my head, the defense is great, you have your goal scorer, but there was a lack of a player who would pick up the ball and run and take players on, and Sadie came in and did exactly that. First thing he did was pick up the ball, put his head down, drove forward and taking players on and delivered a dangerous ball into the box. I think now looking at the contribution that the substitutions have in this game, this Charleston team has a little bit of everything that they can use in the right moment. Tired legs towards the end of the game, you bring in Sadie, he's taking on players and delivering runs into the box. Conway arriving at the far stick at the right moment completely puts the nail in the coffin for Indy 11 tonight and solidifies these 3 points for Charleston.
Dos Santos heads it and then clears it. Prince Sadie's legs are fresh. He's going to try to keep this in unsuccessfully in the end with 3 minutes plus stoppage to go here at Patriots Point.
And we spoke about depth and danger of the bench. You can already see Sadie's impact that he can have in this game. He has the ability to stretch defenses in behind, the ability to pick the ball up and run at players. He's something different that we didn't see. Charleston were winning this game 3-0 without his impact, but you can already see the danger that he possesses when he's come into the game. So they have different ways of attacking, different ways of threatening their opponents, different ways of scoring goals. I think they are rightfully in a very high position in the league, but I think there's still a lot more to see from them.
Augie Williams scores against his former club. Oh, I take it back. The offside flag is up. It took a second, but the assistant denies Augie Williams a welcome back present.
Yeah, I thought Williams did well there with his first touch and to get his shot off. And Charleston would have been disappointed had they not kept a clean sheet tonight, given the way that they've defended. I think the miss-hit shot there from Quinn just found Williams. Hard to see the line here, but maybe he's just a tad offside.
We don't get the definitive view of that, but the second view would lead you to believe that at the bare minimum it was very tight.
Yeah, but we can't take anything away from Charleston tonight. They've been very good in front of their home fans. Indy 11, on the other hand, just haven't been good enough for the large majority of this game, and they've been punished in the final third by the league's top goal scorer. Some very, very smart substitution off the bench, some industrious work in the center of the park. Charleston have just been a better team overall tonight.
One more stat to back that up is Augie Williams is frustrated over the decision going against him. Expected goals tonight, 2.95 for the Battery. That sounds about right, especially in the second half, but 0.18 for Indy. It just hasn't improved on what we saw in the first half.
And we spoke about the coaches making changes at halftime. I think at halftime, when we spoke about shots, I think it was 5 and 6 for each team, and both teams had 2 on target. In this second half, Charleston had 18 shots and 8 on target. So in the second half, they picked up and got stronger in terms of the amount of shots that they're having, but clearly how clinical they are. They've scored 4 goals out of 8 shots on target.
And in the last 3 meetings between these two, that includes tonight, Charleston, and includes the postseason, I should add, Charleston's outscored Indy 13-2. That's a standout stat.
I think my silence speaks volumes.
It's been a loud night, though, for the Battery. That's without question.
Definitely a night the Battery fans will be enjoying.
Could get better. Sadie into the middle. Ofemu's there. And there's 4 added minutes still to play. Brought to you by MUSC Health Sports Medicine. Again, if you're just tuning in, Myers, Ikaza, Marcanic, and Conway.
Sadie's getting the better of the defenders on that right-hand side every time. Every time he's picked up the ball, he's managed to get past the defender.
We talked about it. Devin Rensing's alterations have really done the trick tonight. And Indy's woes in Patriots Point continue. Sadie again. Chance for the Battery to put a cherry on top of proceedings. It's a chance there for Conway, but O'Brien is there. And Charleston will retain possession, it looks like, with 3 minutes left. And Charleston have won substitution remaining. They will take off Mark Segbers, who was dealing with that nosebleed earlier. And as we had alluded to, we thought we might see Josh Drack. We see him here in stoppage time. Mark Segbers really shined at times tonight, really did, and gets a much-deserved rest as Josh Drack will take it from here.
Yeah, I think Segbers is a very important part in one of the best defenses in the USL Championship, and you can see he picks his moments to join the attack. He doesn't need to join every time, given how potent they are themselves. He knows that the team has the ability for the defense to do what they need to do and the attackers to do what they need to do, and he joins at the moments when he feels like he can be influential. Sometimes we see fullbacks joining the attack, leaving their team vulnerable when they transition in moments when they can't impact the attack. And I think Segbers has done a good job of displaying when is the right moment to join the attack and to pin the fullbacks back, and when he needs to stay in his defensive position and give his team stability and strength.
Martinez nudges that down for Guenzati. 2 minutes left for Indy to find something to hold on to here at the end. Quinn out to the far side. Neidlinger is going to cross this into the middle. Augie Williams with the chest down goes for an audacious overhead kick, but it comes up short and Garner collects.
Coming up short is definitely what Indy 11 have done tonight. Conceding 4 goals on the road, where we know this season they've generally been stronger on the road, but Charleston have definitely insinuated their dominance in this second half. In the first half, yes, Charleston did have a lot more possession than Indy, but they were not dangerous with it. They weren't purposeful, they weren't penetrating and hurting Indy 11. In this second half, they came out with a whole different mindset, and everything they did almost ended up in a goal-scoring opportunity. Markanich came to life, Torres came to life. They were just a little bit more connected in the attacking third and reaped the rewards of it.
Allen on the turn there. That's going to be a free kick for the Battery. Deep into injury time.
On the other hand, where I thought Indy 11 did a good job of staying tight and compact in the first half and defending well, there's been too many moments where they've given away cheap free kicks in the second of box, where they've allowed Myers the opportunity to receive the ball and turn, where they've dived in at Markanich, all in and around the areas where they can score goals, and they've been punished for that at the end of it.
Well, Charleston have a chance to equal the playoff scoreline from a year ago if they score from this.
Drack wants a piece of the action, just coming onto the field and not letting anybody take this off him.
Try to pull a Jackson Conway, who scored with his first touch coming in off the bench. Sadie might want to fight at this as well.
And it brings good energy to the team when the substitutes are able to come into the game and impact the game, get themselves on the score sheets, get assists. Everybody feels part of the success that the team is having. And I think that helps to build the rapport and the chemistry and the mentality across the organization collectively.
Kaza and Drack stand over it. Josh Drack hasn't scored this season. Oh, what he nearly did there. Rebound is in. Robbie Crawford forces it over the line for Charleston's 5th. It's his first goal of the season. And Charleston, for a second straight time against Indy at Patriots Point, are going to beat them by 5-0. And this second half has been a 5-star performance.
Charleston have been absolutely ruthless in the second half. Salty's done everything he can. You see he scuffles across his line there, dives, keeps it out the back of the net. But Indy 11 just don't do a good job of reacting to that second ball. Crawford is the first to react. He's on his front foot in the back of the net. I think it's Gibson in this situation who gets caught on his heels and doesn't react quick enough. And 5-0 Charleston.
Another Diamonds direct goal for the Battery. They're racking them up in the second half. Remember, it was 0-0 at halftime. The Battery score 5 second half goals, and they put together a statement win over Indy 11 to not only take the first 2 in the season series, but they jump back to the top of the Eastern Conference and the Players' Shield race. It's Charleston's 13th win of the season, and it's as good as any as they put together.
Yeah, and this 5-0 doesn't just put them on top. It actually makes a huge difference in the goal differential. Their goal differential now jumps to 27, just 1 point behind, 1 goal behind Louisville. Very strong season. It's going to be an exciting ending to this game, to this season with Louisville and Charleston. Torres, our man of the match tonight, was fantastic from start to finish.
He is our Heineken man of the match. A lot of guys put up the stats, but as Devin Rensing put it, just because you're putting up, I should say not putting up stats, doesn't mean you're not making an impact. And Juan Torres took a lot of the attention away and allowed the bigger stars to shine tonight.
Yeah, he was a little bit of creativity, taking shots, creating assists. Obviously, got the assist half here from Mark Kanic to get himself on the score sheet. He was a thorn in the side for Indy 11 the whole night. Rightfully, today's man of the match.
Indy just didn't have an answer for Torres and didn't have an answer for the Battery bunch in general in the second half. Charleston with a thorough win. They win by 5-0. We will step aside and we will wrap it all up after the break.
Your beach, your fields of green, skies of blue, mountains of majesty. You're an athlete. You're obsessed. You're in love. You're in pain. Spirit drained, in agony, fighting gravity. Because you made a commitment to yourself and others to work on your game, build your frame in blazing heat, exhausted and beat. Because when you refuse to yield, your spirit is revealed. You are an athlete. MUSC Health Sports Medicine.
Hola.
¿Alguna otra cerveza?
No, Michelob Ultra.
Ok, ahora vuelvo.
Sean St. Jacques, Chris Nurse back here with you. Wicked Weed final score. Charleston with a 5 spot on Indy yet again after they did it to them in the postseason a year ago. Let's look back through the highlights brought to you by Michelob Ultra. It's going to be filled with a lot of Battery chances and goals tonight. There's no question about that. All of them in the second half, and we begin with a first chance for MD Myers.
He controls on his left foot, tries to get the shot off with his right foot. Doesn't quite get the connection on it as he would have liked, but he'll get a second bite of the cherry shortly after. And on this occasion, he makes no mistake.
Missed the first opportunity, not enough venom in the shot. This one had plenty of it.
Completely opposite. This time he controls on his right, takes a shot with his left, and it's in the back of the net to give Charleston the lead, 1-0.
10 goals this season for MD Myers. And then in the 68th, an outrageous strike from Torres.
Yeah, you can see Torres there. He has no business shooting from that distance, but what a strike it is. 2 inches lower, it's in the back of the net. He was on fire tonight, man of the match, rightfully deserved. Showed a lot of his true qualities.
And it was the spark to what was to come. Charleston just kept creating.
A little bit of luck, comes off the post. Ikaza in the right place at the right time. Second goal, 2-0. He also had a very good night. Industrious in the center of the park, and he deserved that goal.
8 minutes later, the 20th goal this season for Nick Markanic.
Again, it was Torres creating, running into space. Nobody's marking him, cuts it back in the perfect area. Markanic buries it, just guides it on frame. The quality he has in that left foot, he's not going to miss from that distance. But again, it's that man Torres who's making things happen and creating this opportunity.
And then Devin Rensing, everything he touched turned to goals, brought on a couple of subs. They both scored, starting with Jackson Conway.
Brilliant work here from Sadie. Just drives direct, delivers it into the box, and Conway just arrives at the right place at the right time. He's not going to get too many easier goals than that in his career, but you have to be there to score it, and he is exactly that. After just coming off the bench with his first touch, gets himself on the score sheet.
Felt like that might be it for Charleston on the night, but Robbie Crawford had one last thing to say about it.
Yep, everybody wanted to get in the action. Crawford here is the first to react. Just guides it back on frame. Gibson wasn't able to get there ahead of him. 4-0.
Robbie Crawford's first goal of the season, and he had a big, big smile on his face after he finished it off. Heineken full-time match stats, and it was a lot different at full-time than it was at halftime, especially in the shots category.
Yeah, halftime things were fairly balanced in the shots category. Charleston had 5, Indy 11 had 6, both had 2 on target, but you can see in the second half, Charleston kicked on a gear. 20 shots, 10 on target, converted 5.
Really impressive from the Charleston Battery tonight as the race continues towards the postseason. Charleston puts together a statement performance against one of their arch rivals in the Eastern Conference of the USL Championship. 5 different goal scorers for a 5-0 thrashing of Indy 11. For Chris Nurse and our entire crew, Sean St. Jacques saying so long from the Low Country. The Battery are back in the lead of the Players' Shield race.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.